So this is going to be a story that I'm going to talk about when it comes to Club Minc. Club Minc is where I threw this party. So if you look all around at these, or wherever it's going to be, the flyers, or I don't have the flyers anymore, but they were for a party that I threw many years ago, right before my bone marrow transplant. And I had booked several DJs. I put the whole thing basically together, but I had business partners, Adrian and Albert. These two guys, one of the Adrian I went to high school with. Albert, Albert was a very big body bouncer guy, and I think he became a professional chef. I think he did. I talked to him a couple times. I think he was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Which we used to all hang out here and there. Adrian knew Robert Zarate really well. He knew David Quintero really well because I was in several David Quintero's classes, and we hung out, and we used to go to Eric's all the time. And so we threw this party so I could learn how the world of business when it came to the professionalism of booking a club, getting the insurance, making sure you have fire hazardous safety precautions are all set in place, how much the bar is supposed to be expected for, how much I'm gonna, how does this work? Do I need to hire my own bouncers, or do you have your own bouncers? Who works the cash register? All this kind of stuff. So I decided to have these individuals as well. They're both Mexican as well. And we're both all pretty much the same age, and I had Albert be the bouncer. And this guy, like, there's risk and take that you end up doing. I had him deal with all the cash. He was the bouncer counting everything. I'd come, hey man, you thirsty, you need anything? So I was very catering to the situation. I opened up a night with a DJ set. It was kind of like a because I just wanted to play on a loud system, and I played already a designated set, so I already knew what records. I made a CD of it before, but I wanted to hear on a loud system like that at a club, and there really wasn't too many people around anyway. So I just opened up the night, which was like from 10 to 11 or something, and the second guy coming up was opening the night was a guy by the name of Woody Rosen. It's a white guy that was on a different radio station. He worked at some radio station back in the day. They didn't have all this YouTube and Instagram crap. They had YouTube, but it was just like they didn't have what all this stuff now is. So Woody Rosen was going to school for radio broadcasting or something, and I thought, well, it'd be perfect. Oh great, he works for radio broadcasting. He promoted it on the air, which was like it was like a very small unknown radio show. I don't know what it was, but it was for a radio show for those that listened. And he was broadcasted it, for promotions. The headliner of the night was going to be Andy Caldwell. I didn't even know who really Andy Caldwell was. I might have heard of him before, but we named our production company. Before I get into anything, me, Adrian, and Albert decided, so what company do you want us guys, and what do you want to name it? Because you have to you see these other fancy ones that bring all the headline big time DJs, Carl Cox, Tiesto, all this big names, Prototype Industries, and some other companies, Fresno or Frisco company. So anyway, we named ours Bubba Company, and the reason we named Bubba was because Robert Zarate passing away, and we thought that this would be kind of being honorable to kind of honor him, and because we were all good friends, and it was very dear to me, helped me a lot, and wanted to kind of never forget for what he had done for me. And there was a murder that happened many years ago, and I thought, well, nobody's really going to know who Bubba is, because Bubba was basically the name of his nickname he had within his own family, so nobody really knew. And I thought, well, maybe if there's anything that can happen, you could find the murderers, whoever did this to this other friend of ours that was killed many years ago, a brutal murder. So anyway, that's not what I'm making this video about, but that happened many years before this. But it was to honor Robert, who was very dear, and Edward, just the accident that had happened. So anyway, we thought it was a cool name. Everybody has all these fancy like Icarus Move, Icarus Laser Light Productions or whatever fancy crap. We thought this will work as different than everybody else, and so that was the name of it. The guy who made the flyers was a guy by the name of John Leverton. He was the guy that he was the graphic designer when I used to work at Standard Register. And he was cool enough to do the designs. That's exactly what he does. He did it, and I paid him like something. I don't know what it was. I paid him like $100. I don't know what it was, what I paid him, but I want to say I did pay him, or he could have done it for free. I said he could do it for free, but he said if he needed it right away, then But he slapped some stuff together and put it all together, and I sent the design over to the printing company, a different promoting, because they were doing a really good price, and I got 5,000 flyers. I got a beautiful looking flyer. It was gloss, coated UV gloss. It was, and I thought it was great. I don't know. He was upset because he wanted to spend more time on it and do like a super fancy, like spend 3 weeks and make it a cool art graph. But I was like, things were rushing really fast at that time. I was like, so he put something together for like, it literally took him like a week to do, a couple of days or something. So I sent it, got a flyers. That's how the flyer. And Andy Caldwell was a headliner. Andy Caldwell was signed into Owen Records. For those that don't know, in house music, Owen Records during that time had blown up. And this was like during the time when, for those that remember this, when Mark Farina and Derek Carter got on OM, did a special OM record in mix CD. It was like the biggest of all, and it was like the label, right? Club Minc, where we had this party at, was the hottest club in the city of Dallas. There was very multiverse. They had like hip hop nights on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it was like a restaurant, I think, during the day. It was a beautiful club. It was the best small club. You have all these mega clubs, and you do, but this was like, it wasn't like a super small club, but it's a small club, but it was perfect. It was the hottest place. DJ Tiesto, Derek Carter, Mark Farina, Johnny Fiasco, DJ Heather, DJ Colette, DJ Sneak, David Morales. I mean, the list goes on at the hottest. Little Louis Vega, who produced music for Madonna, played at that place. Okay, so every old school legendary DJ, house rocking DJ played at this club. We played there. We booked it there at Club Minc. It's right down the street from Fair Park, literally just about 100 yards, not even 50 yards from Fair Park. And so we booked Andy Caldwell. Andy Caldwell signed into Owen Records. He was promoting Warrior, I think it was, at that time, or had just released it or was about to release it. And he was on tour. I did all the booking. Because I wanted to learn everything. So I called how to book Andy Caldwell. So I called a booking agency. The booking agency, when I was speaking to them, it was some lady, some girl, and she had said that, okay, so I'm going to send you the contract, and you have to go over their contract, see what they want. So every DJ is a little bit different. Some DJs require certain amenities, certain mixers, certain turntables, certain types of things. If you're gonna and they don't even have to take your job. They don't even have to take the assignment if you offer to them. And then they tell me how, and I ask them how much they charge. So they say, well, yada yada, X amount of dollars. I don't spend more than, I think, $2,100 for the whole thing. That was with flyers, everything. So the equipment was already there, and so book Andy Caldwell. They give me the contract. I go over the contract. So he required, and we did everything very consensual to the contract, and everything really went well. He required a 5-star hotel minimum, So you have to get some of the at least a minimum of 5-star hotel, I think it was, or a 4-star hotel, which some DJs, which makes sense, right? He's sort of a celebrity because there was multiple reasons why I chose this guy. He looks like the Brady Bunch. This guy looks like a model. I mean, this guy, when you walked into a place, he had a presence of a celebrity. And it was crazy. When you walked in, people were like, oh, like, that's a celebrity. That's the big guy. It's like the big dog, right? So anyway, we end up, booking this guy. I call the hotel. I say, okay, I'm booking this DJ. This is his name. You book him a nice room. We went, and this is right whenever I got into a car wreck, and long story short, somebody ended up having to I talked about somebody ran their car into me on purpose. I don't know who it was, and I talked about this, and I was on my way on the road in Addison, and they wrecked my car when I was promoting. I was driving my little Honda to the 24-hour fitness and go get my workout, and I was going to stop by at a couple different sort of joints, restaurant or some traffic areas where people can kind of pick up flyers hoping people would show up. So I get to the driving, I get in a car wreck. I don't have a car right whenever I'm throwing this party. So we rented a car for the whole situation, which you didn't have to, but we decided, okay, me and these other guys, they say, you think we should rent a car? This guy's a top DJ. Want to treat him nice that way. If we ever need to book him, there could be better business down the road. We book a nice car. We book a nice car, SUV, pick him up, and he was very happy. He was like, well, thank you. I didn't, most of the time these people don't even rent cars. I'm really glad you did everything, legitimate. So he was kind of like kudos, like on some sort of, business exchange. He plays for a party, he gets paid, and but he was very firm of himself. He's very firm of himself, very professional, and so that was the situation. So he plays, and like 15 minutes before he's supposed to go and play, he tells me he doesn't know if he can play because he goes, yeah, I think I need like a long cord or something like that to like cook up, and I forgot to bring it in my laptop. And I'm like, I told him, I was like, man, I'm gonna need you to like play anything. I don't care. These people are just all waiting for you. You got to do something. And luckily, I think it was Mark Pena. I saw it came across, and I was like, scatter. No, we need a cable. He says he can't play or whatever. This guy runs to his, he runs to his house, picks up a large cable. Cool guy, and hook up. Everything went legit. Really great. Played all night. Played his system. And everybody had a great time. So, I don't have any pictures. I don't have the flyer. All that stuff got thrown away and posted, and it's gone forever. But I posted what I can. So, we picked him up at the airport as well. When he comes out of the airport, me and Adrian kind of wait for this guy to show up and see what he looks like, and we'll wait for him. And he was really surprised because I don't know anything, especially nowadays. I know a little bit better now, but especially in those days, I'm not sure how promoters treat celebrities and DJs, like, because there's a lot of unlegitimate promoters out there. Where he even mentioned a story to us when we're driving. He says that it was like a 2-hour drive, and he says he just left him in the middle of nowhere and didn't pay him for shit. And after he played, and they picked him up in a crappy car, which happens a lot of times. They pick you up in a crappy car, and they take you to a club, and you're, don't know what to expect. And everything went well in some cases, and it was still a crappy car. But he seemed to be very delighted that we had brought, a lot of amenities to make sure he was catered to this sort of, the Andy Caldwell, right? So the way that I got recommended to him was a guy by the name of Jose. And it was a little tiny, short Mexican guy. He ended up moving. And I remember him telling me, I have other ideas and suspicions and things of what this story was, because some of these people knew more about my life than I thought they knew, especially this guy, Jose. But cool guy. He's a guy. He was like, yeah, if you want to go and rent this place, yeah, you're going to contact me, and then I'll contact the person that runs the manager, that was like the bartender and like the manager of the club. So I went through Jose. He said, we're trying to figure out what DJs we're going to get. He mentioned Andy Caldwell. He goes, Andy Caldwell, he's a really good pick. He brings a lot of girls. And so that's what he did. So we picked out a guy what was within our budget. He said, this guy's perfect. He'd be great. So everything went well. With that. When I picked him up the next day, take him back to the airport, I bought like orange juice, apple juice, cranberry juice, and something else. I said, hey, I got you these drinks, man. Make sure, up early in the morning, make sure you're catered, And he goes, nah, man, just stop right over here at the Starbucks. I'm just going to pick something up real quick, So I drove over there, and it was just me and him. Drove him to the airport and dropped him off, and shook my hand. It was like, business. And that was pretty, he didn't say business, but it was, that, which is great. Because I remember in the car when I was telling him, I think it was on my way and I was driving, I was like, dude, I was pissed whenever he told me. I was mad, and he could tell I was mad. I'm like, I just paid you, $1,500, and you don't even have your cable? Like, these people, I was like, I felt like I was being robbed. Anyway, so that was it. Everything went really well. That was the end of it. And literally, I think it was 4 or 5 months, because I got diagnosed in May. And because I got diagnosed in May, it was like a couple of weeks before my mother's birthday, sometime in May. And I go to the doctor's office because I'm feeling weak, and at that time I had just gotten into a car wreck, as I said, and I really feel this guy did it on purpose, and I know he did. There was being stalked and watched. I know that and the police officer didn't even give a damn about my life when it all happened. He didn't give a nothing. And, he wasn't even concerned with my well-being. He was literally saying, leave this car, or in an hour, I'm going to have it towed away. And this guy, I saw him from a distance, like just for a split moment, that he was targeting me. He was driving this crap car, too. So, anyway, we end up, everything went fine. I decided to wait a couple of months. The business that went between me, Adrian, there's a whole lot of perspectives that people can take on this, but for me, I took a huge gamble, because I literally spent all my money up front, and then I was waiting for Adrian and Albert to throw in the other half. And I think Adrian was like sort of a little more of a bodyguard for Adrian, but we were all friends, and they knew that I was a guy with the brains and the power to sort of do all this, right? Because Kenneth worked at the radio station, so people really don't know the networks of all that kind of stuff. And so when you're young, I was telling him, I'll tell you everything you need about the entertainment and world of music. Any question you want, you let me know and you ask, and I'll tell you what I do know. I've been doing this for a long time. I just started to learn how to do this promoting stuff, but anything else, equipment, needles, everything you need to know, I can tell you. So you can, we can build this as a business. Bubba's Productions, right? So, that's what we did. And so I spent all my money, not all my money, but, I set a money that I set to the side to spend up front. I paid for the booking hotel, the DJ, everything, got the contracts. I gave the contract to whatever it is, and yada, yada, yada. And so I end up throwing, like a couple of days before the party goes off, right? Before the party goes on, and he pays me, because I was like, well, if you're going to be a part of this, you're going to have to, and so he pays me just like we were supposed to, because something ended up happening. He didn't get paid or something. So I take a huge risk, because I really not super good friends with Albert, but he was a cool guy, and he literally stands with a little metal cashier, big guy, like bodyguard. That's how he's like bodyguard. He was like security as well. And I told him, hey man, can you be security for the night too? Because it's good to have a big guy, right? Always have a security big guy around. So I said, I need you to be at the front desk. You be security guy. You're bigger than both of us. And he's, I think, done that before. So he collects all the money. Like literally, he works cash register before everybody that's coming in, and there was like, in order for me to have broke even, I had to have at least, I think it was like we are charging anything tickets $10 or $15. I don't remember. It's like 10 or $15, and you had to have at least a little over 200 people for me to break it even. That was just breaking even. And to me, it was a success. As long as I made all my money back and maybe made an extra $100 or $200, it was good for me because I wanted to learn what the whole ins and out. I wanted to do this on my own. So we broke even, a little over even, and I didn't know who it was because we weren't counting the people who were coming in. But I think I saw one of the guy, Jose. He had a little counter, and every time somebody would come in, they knew exactly how many people were coming in. And I don't know, it was like 200 and something, 240 people to 215, somewhere around there. And at the end of the night, before, Jose comes to me, and he goes, "Hey, so how did you do?" And I was like, I didn't want to get into financial discussions about that, but I was like, we broke a little bit even over, man. We did really good. We did good. It's a success. It wasn't a loss, but it wasn't a big gain. Getting in my footsteps. We're getting this together so that we'll start planning the next event. And the next events never happened because I didn't know anything about the entertainment world when it comes to contracts. Who gets paid, because the agency that you're booking the DJ with, they get paid a certain amount. Like say if you were gonna book DJ Tiesto, and you booked him, he charges $1,000, right? Yeah, but yeah, right. Who pays for $1,000? So he pays $1,000. When you book him, you have to pay the agency money because he works for them. So they get I think like 15%. So what, $150, whatever it is that they get just for being him, because they deal with all the hassles. And the person that actually goes and plays, like when we had Andy Caldwell, we have to look at the contract and what it says, because there's certain equipment that they mandate. So they mandate, because if something goes wrong, they still get paid. If some machinery, insurance, and all this other stuff that goes into it. So everything was legitimate. Everything was great. He had all the equipment he needed. And back then, Minc had a phenomenal sound system. Minc had a great sound system, and it was a great environment. So the environment and the way the structure of the sort of restaurant club was built, lounge, was built in a way that the sound sounded just very rich. Very, very rich. It sounded great. And beautiful. When you talk about like design, clubs, paint, all the stuff that they have there was beautiful, very beautiful. I just really liked the club. I thought it was great. So anyway, all the top DJs. Oh, one of the reasons it was celebrities were known to have walked in that place. Minc is no longer, but I was told, I knew there was, all these DJs, Louis Vega, that, made remixes for Madonna. Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu was very popular back then. KRS played there, a lot of hip hop. But I was told from Jose that Erykah Badu was sometimes she would pop up everywhere. I mean, she would pop up in every once in a while, just unannounced, and she's a celebrity. And at that time, she was like a top celebrity, Grammy Award winner, or something like that, or whatever it was. She was very big in, and she just hang out. I never saw her there, but he had told me that she just pops up every once in a while out of nowhere sometimes, man. And you may catch someone else. So I know DJ Tiesto did play there, which is the #1 DJ in the world. He played at a private party there. That's how notorious this place was. It was kind of like the Red Jacket, for those who remember what Red Jacket was like back in the day in Dallas. And so anyway, one of the reasons also that I got Andy Caldwell was because he was a Grammy nominated nominee. He was a Grammy nominee of whatever track. So that was a very big thing, you know, for someone to get nominated for a Grammy, like, oh, that guy, you know, makes good music among 5 or 10 other people. I've already made it. Your name gets put on a sort of celebrity list. And I think I've seen Andy Caldwell at a red carpet, at some kind of red carpet event. I think I remember seeing, but I think it was after the party. After that, maybe I think it was after an event, but it was some sort of prestigious event. I don't think he did win the Grammy, to my understanding, but he got nominated, which is still, you know, still big time. And so anyway, um, went to this guy Jose, and he actually used to throw a bunch of parties. I don't know whatever happened to him. Cool Mexican guy, little tiny short guy. Talked to him over the phone a couple of times, and he almost kind of seemed like a undercover. I know it sounds kind of weird. He almost seems like an undercover, or like something that was going on. There seemed kind of a sort of a police sort of vibe to him, like sort of a police vibe to him. So anyway, I talked to him, and he's probably like the shortest guy you'll ever see. Well, I mean, he's like 4'11", tiny. And anyway, he used to throw a lot of parties. He brought Johnny Fiasco. He brought a lot of other people, and I was explaining to him, I'm trying to learn the ropes of this business. You know, start my own business. I want to bring DJs and figure out what... I had a lot of problems with other DJ friends I grew up with whenever I didn't book them right away, because they immediately got jealous. They immediately thought I hated it. I was a backstabber. It was just crazy when that happened. And it was very insulting at that time, because it was on my birthday. It was like, you know, when midnight hit, it was my birthday. And it was on January 5th, and then it turned January 6th at midnight, and Andy Caldwell was playing. So at that time, I had planned to build a business, or at least start putting my friends in networking. But when you're trying to build a business and you're trying to build something, you can't... I knew at that age, you know, you want your friends and you want people, but the way that I associated them with music and business was very different, and I knew how their behavior was. It wasn't going to be good with them. But I could put them, so they didn't like that I was that I was sort of this power guy. I was the guy that was calling shots, and they didn't like that. So I couldn't do anything about it. They're gonna have to be patient. This isn't the end of the world just because I'm bringing this top DJ. It's not the end of the world. It's gonna be another day. Okay, you're just gonna have to wait, because I was around Eric, throwing a lot of parties, Eric Quintero, and I just knew I could do it way better than any of them, because there was so many other situations, and I was going to reward them, I mean, with 100%, but I needed to build my own foundation, and my own business, my own world of good structure, of this is better the way I want things to go. But it never did. So met through Woody Rosen. I got recommended to him through Jose as well, because he played there frequently. I paid him, I think it was like $150. He charged like $200. I can give you 120, 150 bucks. I can do that, and it was like still overpaying someone who really didn't. Because I could have booked a lot of people, and the thing is, when you're in that world, when you find the person that's going to open up for the main show, you immediately put them, the opener, you put them on the map. So everyone else is going to want to book them. They're already like, oh, this guy opens up. Like, now he puts on his flyer, his resume, says, I open up for Andy Caldwell, I open up for this guy, and I open up for that guy. And that's like a phenomenal thing. That's a very big thing. Because then you make more money, and you get notoriety. But you have to figure out all the different ropes and who's popular and who's not. And I really didn't care so much about that kind of stuff. I just really wanted to kind of have this culture that's going to be great. Not only for myself and the learning process, and how successful is this reality of entertainment is possible, if it's ever possible. And it's never possible. You're not going to ever make it, not in that time. you're not allowed in that circle. Okay, it's you're playing a you're playing a lottery Powerball if you ever think you're going to make it in that world as and young. You're playing the odds of a Powerball millionaire. You just in that even that you're not going to have a chance. Go to school. So I had been to raves. You know, I had been around Eric and Terrell, thrown a lot of parties. You know, he threw the parties. I helped him think of some names here and there. He'd always kind of give me references. We'd listen to music while he was deciding what he wanted, what time he was going to book me, how he organized as well. His friends he put on a list because I only got to put 2 people on a flyer. He was putting like 15 people on a single flyer, and he had to figure out which friends and which people he had to help and how he could dabble and network as well and make friends with for later business. So, but that was the whole situation with that. The sad thing of that whole situation was, Jamie, this blonde, which is, there's this girl named Lindsay, not the Lindsay Weston girl, but this other blonde girl who I liked very much, Lindsay. She's married, has kids now, and anyway, she used to go to Daniel Box's house, and she had a sister who I didn't know was a transgender at the time, bleach blonde hair, blue-eyed girl. Anyway, she shows up to the club. Tiffany shows up to the club, which is Adrian's girlfriend at the time, who I threw this party with. Beautiful brunette girl. She shows up, you know, we're driving her car in her Honda, and she shows up to the club. Everyone's having a great time. You know, people are just there for music. Now, this event is not about any fame. Like, for those who's ever been to Minc, Minc is like really to have a great time, to have a good night, and play some wonderful, great music. Enjoy the day, enjoy the evening, enjoy the weekend, and dance. You know, this was not like, you know, people meet each other. This is a place where people meet each other, great place for that. But it's not like these sort of other clubs like Lizard Lounge or the clubs that they used to have all these you know, Club Blue, these mega clubs, and who has more money and who has more macho. There's no fights that happen in these types of environments. This is not a violent club. So, yeah, they showed up to the club, and, you know, that was pretty much it. And, you know, there was a girl that I knew that I didn't know that was connected to Susie Kelly, which was by the name of Celeste. I don't ever know what happened to her. I don't know whatever happened to her. I have no earthly idea. But I thought it was important for me to talk about, and yeah, I thought it was important for me to talk about. And you know, the sad thing about the whole situation is I know, believe it or not, as many friends as I had, and I put it on the internet, I did not have one friend, not one friend that I had known as a child show up. And it was a birthday of mine. And they didn't even show up to support. And that was to even show how correct I needed to be. Because that was why. Michael, Richard, Anthony, John Basili, you know, Michael Rossiter, Eric, Andrew, every friend that I ever did, Kevin, there was not one of them that ever showed up. And I left flyers at their houses. I told them to tell as many people, and it was just a bitter war of, like, especially because when Eric used to throw parties, some of these guys weren't necessarily top musicians. They were just local popular DJs that played really good music, you know, for just a local night, you know, at a club, and just local DJs. They weren't big traveling DJs like the Andy Caldwells, the Carl Cox, and, you know, the Johnny Fiascos or whatever it is, you know, the Q-Berts that travel all over the place in nice clothes and limousines that pick them up and all kinds of crap. So, yeah, we didn't have one friend that showed up. I wasn't bitter and angry, so it kind of gave me an idea of who was in the picture, who wanted to support, who was really after what. And I did have Adrian and a few other friends. He had showed up, and it was a wonderful night. And I wanted to throw more parties to start my own thing, my own business, my own world, and never happened. And yeah, never got to. So I thought it was important for me to talk about. I thought it was important for me to talk about. I wasn't bitter about the situation, um, and you know, yeah, I don't know whatever happened to some of them, like Woody Rosen. I don't know what happened to him. He was a white guy, kind of a brown, dirty blonde hair, kind of short. Looked like he did martial arts. I think he was in martial arts or some shit for a little while. Um, and I don't know if he ever graduated. And he lived just like down the street from Club Minc. Um, but anyway, I never kept up again with any of them. So I thought I'd make a video on this. Um, and there was never any complaints that we had. We got the cash. We went back to Albert's apartment and counted all the cash, what we made, what the split up was. And then he was finishing up at school. And that's the thing. Adrian at the time, he was going to DeVry, and he was getting his computer IT degree, and that was one of the huge reasons that I wanted him into the picture, because he was going to school, and he was working full time, like working at Best Buy and some other places, and he was going to school like full time. Like this guy was busy. I mean, he finished his high school, and he was getting a college degree, and he still had like 6 months left or like a year left, and he was learning how to work in IT department. So he was earning a degree, and I was like, wow, that's always a big ups for me. So he was finishing up his school, finished to my understanding, and knew David Quintero. He was finishing up his IT department degree as well. And I think Albert was just working at a company, and just kind of like me, figuring out the scopes, hang out, have a good time, figure out what he wanted to do. But I think he eventually went to become a chef. I know he was a big cooking fan. This guy could cook really well because he cooked some soups, some caldo, and really good food. And we went over to his couple house with Tiffany, and Adrian, and Jamie, and him. He cooked a meal, badass fucking meal, and we all sat down at the dinner table. And there isn't very many places, at least in the world that I lived in, where you're 20 years old, you can know how to cook really well, make a good soup, make a good dish, complete dish, and everything that goes with that. And we talked more about business. I had told also Kenneth Cooper, DJ Keynote, that I was possibly going to have him announce, like whatever he does on the radio and give a mic, whatever. But I don't even know if there was a microphone, or who had a microphone, or something had happened. I don't know what it was, but he did show up for a little while. He showed up for like an hour and then just left and just kind of took off. And so we were there and just trying to figure things out, because I'm sort of scattered. I was just trying to make sure everything went smooth as possible so there can be another day and there can be another event. But like I said, never happened. And that was the situation. So John Lieberton, who worked at the company, he showed up for a little while with a couple girls, a couple friends, and he stayed there for a good while, for a few hours to set. Obviously it gave him free drinks or whatever, and it was cool to be able to, because Adrian wanted to wear a business suit, and I was like, well, I don't know if you want to wear a business suit because it's not that professional, but we kind of want to figure out the scope of everything before we kind of get into the rhythm of. But and now that I look back on it, I think he was right. We should have wore a business suit the first day. That would have been the best thing. But I thought, well, not to get extravagant, because the minute that people know you have money, the reason I didn't want to as well, this is another reason, the minute that people see a business suit and people know that money's being spent, they know that, this guy and this guy has a lot of money. They're going to come after. It's not good necessarily to do that. So if you wear normal clothes and you do this, keep it casual, it's not that big of a deal. You're not likely to be targeted, and you're more likely to be sort of more face to face with the individuals there, instead of like, oh, this guy has a lot of money, I wonder how much money he has. Like kind of, you don't want to be targeted. So to keep it casual. So that's kind of what happened at Club Minc, and yeah, never threw the party, never had anything like that again, and retired, and really wanted to go back to school. I had the biggest dreams to go back to school and do something in my life. I had nobody ever listen to anything I have to say still to this day about this whole story of this, but in the future of, the direction of path I wanted to take and evolve to, and get out of the limelight or get out of any of this entertainment stuff. So anyway, so I thought I'd make a video on this. I knew the minute that I got into that car wreck and I was helping promote this party, and I was by myself, because I was doing much of the promoting by myself. I go to a club, or I go to drive somewhere, and 24 Hour Fitness, see if they'd let me drop off some flyers at the front desk, hoping people would show up. And it was very difficult, because this individual that showed up, and my car got totaled. But anyway, yeah. So everything. I think I covered most of the details of that whole circumstance. Cover most of the details. I covered most of the details of what that whole event was. I'm sure there's some stuff that I probably maybe left out and forgot. But yeah, I was just professional catering to that headliner. I mean, you could get, because it seemed like, to my understanding, a lot of DJs, which people just show up in their regular cars, but we rented a very nice car, SUV, 4-door leather interior, to cater to this, treat him like a celebrity, treat him like the big time DJs, that how they are, and even went out of my way to get several different types of, like I said earlier, juices. Hey man, you hungry? Don't worry about it. And I was very kind. I was like, hey man, me, Adrian in the car, we kind of argued a minute, just joking around in the car, and we were like, you need to get something to eat. We can go. Oh, you know what? We also went to go get something to eat together, because I had talked to him. We had talked to. We had talked to the whole business situation, because it was me, Andy Caldwell, and Adrian. So I talked to Adrian, and I said, hey, in order to get this whole idea of getting comfortable with, these sort of DJs and entertainers, and start like a business connection, so that, he always knows, or whoever it may be, the agency, because there's always these shortcuts. You may get a discount, you don't have to book him as much, he always knows it's a legitimate company. He know it's an easy, safe place for him to travel and makes his cash and do business, and he plays for the people. It's great. Let's go at a restaurant. We're going to go sit down with him and talk to him for a little while. We're gonna go sit down. We're gonna go sit down and talk to him. We're gonna go sit down and we're gonna talk to him for a little while. And we went to what was it? We went to I was going to say, I think it was Joe's Crab Shack. That's where we went. We went to Joe's Crab Shack. And I think that's what it was called. And we were like joking around, because they had like these little ponds out front. Like, man, they probably like fishing out. We were like laughing. We were like, we were like, man, they're probably fishing out like fish in there and just pulling it out and like just frying it in the back and charging us like $80 a fish. Anyway, we go in there, we sat down. I could tell, I tried to lead the conversation and everything, because I knew that I was trying to feed as much as knowledge and security as I could to Adrian, because this is the world that I lived in. But since, he had this like Latin, since he was Mexican, and we're all good friends with Robert, especially after his passing. And he used to go to his house, he smoked weed. that was really cool because he got into. There's more to the story because he got into a fight with not Robert, but him and Robert and the couple guys from Creekview all got into a huge fight, and it was like 3 versus 3. It was like him and Robert. It was him and Robert versus like 4 other guys, and like Robert like knocked out like 2 guys and shit at a fucking gas station and shit, and they were like wanted to fight. And kudos to Adrian for having the Canojes, bang out with Robert, for real, like brotherhood brothers. Anyway, Adrian wasn't scared to fight, and he was not. He would fight you in a heartbeat. He was like, "You want to throw down? We'll throw down." So anyway, but we're sitting at this restaurant. We're sitting at the middle of the table, and everyone can see us. He orders like whatever it is, and we're all eating, and we're talking, and I could tell Adrian was nervous. And the reason he was nervous is because it was like, I knew that to him, because, there's a whole thing when people know that you talk to like someone who's on radio, like at that time who was related, they think you have big connections, but I really wasn't connected. And so it sort of made it most as comfortable as I could and casual, because he's my business partner. But I'm bringing him into a world and to feed as much as knowledge and then take what you want, because to make it as legitimate, just because there's too many directions where things can go wrong in business, where the relationship of I don't trust this guy's gonna steal my money, even if you're friends, everyone knows about that world, right? Everyone knows, all businesses are like that. So I had to make it as legitimate, educational, and very face forward, very just out there. I'm hiding nothing, man. Like, I'll let you know, to make it as easy as you want, because nobody really did. There wasn't a lot of people that did that for me. I had to learn the very hard way. And now standing on the streets of corners, passing out flyers, and learning how to talk to people, what kind of people show up, talking to the bars, what do you require for people to make at the bar, and how many people you have to charge at the, and all this and this. Nobody told me, and I had to learn a lot of that on my own. And I really would like somebody to tell me all the ins and outs to that, like the way I was trying to do to him, which I did as much as I could, because he was thinking about getting turntables for himself. So what happened, we're sitting and I think Andy Collick could kind of tell he was really kind of nervous, and he kind of looked at him, and he kind of looked at me, and this is kind of when I kind of thought to myself, like, he was kind of, because he was kind of, I could tell that he was kind of giving this guy a little of a confident boost, like, don't worry about this guy actor, I'm the celebrity here. But anyway, so we eat at dinner table, we have a great time. We have a great time. We're laughing, and so he kind of gets the settling mood of, kind of gets the vibe, Andy, while we're driving and talking, drop him off the hotel. And I don't know why we chose Joe's Crab Shack. It was a decent restaurant. I can't remember, but it was just a restaurant, which was still kind of, I don't know, in the world that I live in, that's like a nice restaurant. To a lot of people, it's always, like casual thing. For me, you go to like, China Coast, Don Pablo's, Joe's Crab Shack, that's in this urban, because it's kind of in the city life, you're always going to be spending a lot of money that you don't really have. At least that's in the world that I grew up in. We start leaving, we're joking around, we leave. And Adrian's confident, feels good. And that was pretty much it. So I haven't ever heard from a lot of them because they disappeared on Facebook. I know he went back to school, finishes, to my understanding, school. I don't know what happened to that world. Albert ended up moving to Houston or Austin, and I don't know what happened. I think he became a chef, like a professional chef at a nice, really expensive restaurant. Never heard from him again, like so many other people. But that was just about almost 20 years ago. It was literally 4 months. It was 4 to 5 months, because I threw the party in January and I got diagnosed in May. So it was January, February, March, April, May. It was 5 months before I got diagnosed this lethal aplastic anemia, which also played an influence for me, never talking and telling people I was going to die, because I didn't think at this time it was as important as I thought it was. But that was the story. So he was very professional. You could see kind of things got a little edgy at times, you know, and did the best could, you know. Called the agency when it was over with. Thank you. You know, everything went great. They gave me a call to see how things went. Gave my opinion, and that was it. And I was like, well, we're going to work with your agency for a little while and figure out what the future will may hold. And unfortunately, everything, and I would have thrown another event because I was going to try something every 3 or 4 months, but I was trying to put some others. I think I was trying to already starting to put something together, but at this point I was starting to feel tired because it was like I waited until like March, and I started to feel very tired, and I was like, well, maybe I should wait maybe a couple months. It's already been a couple months because I had just totaled my car, and I'm trying to rebuild my life all over again. And so that was the whole situation. So anyway, hopefully this informs you of everything that kind of went on and just the past to move into different directions in life.